Thank you so much for being so brave against the rain to join the French residents today. Some of your colleagues will be a bit delayed or not possible to come today. I'm so sorry for the weather. I was joking that it started actually just after the sauna on Monday, and I was telling my colleagues at the embassy, the new colleagues, that, well, you haven't seen yet what is the rainy season, because I remember very much last year, it was like 10 days without stop of rain. So far we've been lucky in a way, and now the rain has come, and some of you might be delayed. But I really thank you for joining this gathering. I will say a friendly gathering to say goodbye to my dear friends of the media and the press. It's already been 3 years since I arrived in the Philippines as ambassador to the Philippines and Micronesia, and I haven't seen those 3 years. I don't know what happened, but here I am now, not introducing myself, but saying farewell and saying goodbye to you. I will leave in less than 3 weeks now, August 18, after what has been 3 wonderful years, for me personally, of course, and my family, but also for the French embassy. And I wanted also to take the opportunity to report a little bit about what we have achieved over the 3 years, and of course much remains to be done, but I will leave with the sentiment, with the feeling that we have achieved what I was asked to achieve, which is basically strengthen the bilateral relationship between France and the Philippines. That's exactly what the mandate was when I was offered the job, and I said, okay, great, that's a great job to have an opportunity to do more, because I'm kind of an active, hands-on person. I like to work. I like when things go fast, and I really wanted to take my share in this endeavor to strengthen the bilateral ties. We have actually already 79 years of diplomatic relation. And by the way, if you count well, it means that next year, 2027, will be a major year, 80 years of bilateral relations. So we are old friends. It's not new that France and the Philippines are friends and do things together. But for many reasons, over the last years, both President Macron and President Marcos have really expressed the need to do more. Those reasons, basically, I was explaining 3 years ago when I arrived, are linked to our own strategy, the French strategy in Indo-Pacific. We wish to engage more in Indo-Pacific, and particularly in Southeast Asia, and particularly with countries like the Philippines, with whom we share so much. Plus, of course, second reason why we get more attention to this part of the world, of course, we cannot ignore the tensions, geopolitical tensions all over the world, but also in this region. So we cannot be less interested, we can only be more interested by what's going on in the region. And finally, I would say also a reason on your part, on the part of the Philippines, of course, after President Marcos' election, there was a strong will to diversify partnerships, to open up again to Europeans in particular. You remember very well that during the time of President Duterte, bilateral relationships between Europeans and Philippines was not that possible. So when President Marcos has been elected, he really expressed the will to do more. So basically that explains why France and the Philippines have put together on the agenda to do more. 3 years after my term, I can see that we have achieved a lot, and I would like to report by mentioning, of course, the defense and security agenda. That was probably the newest thing on the agenda. We had strong ties already, cultural ties, economic ties, consular ties, but defense and security, probably because the Philippines is bound with the US by the Mutual Defense Treaty. it might explain that for so long other countries thought there was no room for another partnership, but in fact there is. And defense and security has been top priority on my agenda. You remember probably that I welcomed for the first time the first French Minister of Armed Forces coming to the Philippines in December 23. And that was the start of the letter of intent signed with Secretary Theodore and the roadmap leading to a lot since over the last 2 years and a half. You probably have seen with me a lot of French armed forces coming to the Philippines, be it when we decided to join the Balikatan exercise, for example, or Sama-Sama exercise also, and also port calls, frigates, aircrafts. Our aircraft carrier group, Charles de Gaulle, went for the first time in the Philippines, in Subic, 1 year and a half ago. So a lot of more interactions, basically, between the two armed forces have happened, which is exactly what the minister wished for at the time when he arrived in the Philippines, because he really expressed the will to gain more strategic and operational intimacy. That's his words. I'm referring to these words, which are good words to explain the will to know each other better. You cannot be a partner if you know one another better, and particularly in terms of defense and security, there is a strong need to get to know each other, to know how we work, to train together, to exercise together, and that's what those exercises and protocols for, the opportunity to train together and to do more. And of course, another milestone of the letter of intent has been achieved this year by the signing in March 2026 of the Visiting Forces Agreement, which is why, since then, I haven't been asked the exact same question I've been asked by you guys over the last 2 years and a half. When will France sign the VFA with the Philippines? Well, it's done. And it's been quite fast, actually. I was impressed, probably because the Philippines itself decided to go fast with many partners. The speed for the signature finalization of the reciprocal access agreement with Japan was impressive already, and then New Zealand agreement, and then Canadian agreement, and now France. And we are the first European country to have signed a visiting forces agreement with the Philippines. We are very proud, and I think it will foster the dynamic. It will help us go further in the dynamic. So you will probably in the coming years continue to see more of French interactions in the armed forces in the coming years. So defense and security was really new and really high on the agenda. Broadly, maritime security is really a priority because we are two maritime nations. I just kept repeating over my last 3 years that we were blue nations, France and the Philippines, partners for the oceans. It means that we put maritime security, freedom of navigation, protection of our oceans, blue economy, very high on our reciprocal agenda. And in that regard, I'm also very happy to see what we have achieved. We are continuously engaging with the Coast Guards, also with the Marina, the Marine Industry Authority. We have an expert in the Marina. We will probably next year have an expert within, a French expert within the Coast Guards. So our cooperation is really increasing in terms of maritime security. And this program, Blue Nations, France and the Philippines Partner for the Oceans, which was also designed to help foster our cooperation on the way to Nice, the United Nations Conference on the Oceans in Nice last year, really helped us frame and foster our cooperation. We have contracts with the Coast Guard, you know very well, the 40 vessels that have been acquired by the Coast Guards to the French company Océan. Other discussions are already ongoing for more. So I'm very impressed by the fact that when you decide to put priority on your agenda, like maritime security, you kind of try to organize all the efforts of the embassy in every possible corner be it the economic section, be it the cultural section, and of course defense and security. The defense mission opened in June 24, and we can really achieve a lot. That's what we have done. So defense and security basically is the priority number one, and we have achieved a lot. Priority number two, economic cooperation and development assistance. It's been also a priority because indeed we had to catch up after the years where the cooperation was not possible between the Europeans and the Philippines under the previous administration. It was time to resume, and to achieve that, the Filipino authorities expressed the will to frame a cooperation through a G2G agreement, a government-to-government agreement, which we finalized, and we were the first one among the Europeans, once again, to finalize our G2G agreement in June 24. And this is what permits, by the way, that enables the acquisition of the 40 vessels by the Coast Guard, relying on the financial assistance by the French government, the French Treasury. And without this G2G agreement, we could not be into so many discussions to have the Philippines in the projects of investing in infrastructures, maritime security, etc. So the acquisition of the vessels is a good model, a good example, but we have other discussions with the DOTR, with the PWH for bridges, for example, farm-to-market bridges, for the Panglao Bridge. You might remember that Panglao Bridge, it's quite an interesting case because it was supposed to be built by the Chinese, through Chinese ODA, and over the years nothing happened. And so we were very happy to step in and to offer our own ODA, our own help to a French company. It's not yet signed, so I cannot announce anything, but the discussions are ongoing. And in many sectors of infrastructure, public transportation, climate resilience, space, we have ongoing discussions under the framework of this government-to-government agreement that we signed in 24. So it's a good sign that we can do more. That's why also we decided to join the Luzon Economic Corridor. We were very happy that Japan, the Philippines, and the US invited other friends and partners to join this initiative, and we have decided to join precisely because we consider that the collective effort is always a win, and if we all put together our own projects, our own efforts for better connectivity and those bridges that we will build, it's a good example of fostering connectivity in the Luzon Economic Corridor as in plenty of other places in the Philippines. I would like also to mention other sectors that were high on the agenda of the economic cooperation. I want to mention food security and energy security. Those are two domains where the Philippines themselves requested already 3 years ago for our partnership to have. You remember at the time, of course, the President was himself Secretary of Agriculture. We are, like the Philippines, an agriculture country. So we are working very, very hard to foster our exportations, because you need, unfortunately, you rely on a lot of importations for food, and that will be under the framework of the free trade agreement we are negotiating. The EU is negotiating with the Philippines, but we are also trying to position our cooperation in order to help the Philippines be more self-reliant. And we have, for example, projects of milk farm in Bohol and a new one in Isabela. And in the coming years, I hope, French cows will come to the Philippines to become Filipino cows and to make their own Filipino milk. So maybe in the coming years, when I will come back in Bohol as a tourist this time, I will enjoy ice cream coming from this project. Now that's just an example. We had also discussions on other aspects, but food security we know very well for the Philippines is an important challenge. Energy security, and I'm very happy to mention it, knowing that you have all heard the SONA on Monday, and President himself talked a lot about energy security. Of course, we understand very well because of the current energy crisis and the current situation in the Middle East. You are hit by the crisis of electricity, so there is a huge need for the Philippines to transition to more renewable, cheaper and green energy. And we have already ongoing projects, thanks to our French companies involved in renewable energy. We have projects, co-projects, it's partnership each time with, for example, solar farm in Isabella with Total Energy. And we have also project with another French company, which is called Hydrogen of France, HDF. And without referring to the company, the president referred in the SONA on this project because it's in Mindanao, in remote areas, with the perspective to use hydrogen in the future. And it's really relevant for those remote areas where, again, the connectivity is in the grid is an issue. And of course, you all listen to the president talking about nuclear civil energy, and I don't know if you know, or maybe you already heard me mention that we are a specific case, France, all over the world. We are the country having the most part of our energy mix coming from nuclear. 70% of our energy mix come from nuclear. It's been 70 years already since the French president of the Republic at the time really decided to engage in this program to be, and the objective was probably the same as now your president wished to put the question, self-reliant. We need to be self-reliant and energy being dependent on importations of oil, as we see you are. We've seen in Europe after the war in Ukraine, many countries being so much dependent on gas coming from Russia. It becomes at some point a question of sovereignty. So energy security, as other items I mentioned already, defense and security, it's a question of sovereignty, and we, as partners with the Philippines, we really wish to have your country become more self-reliant. And in terms of nuclear civil energy, it will depend on the request at some point of the Philippines, but we have expertise because of our specific situation, and we have our national company, EDF, being ready also to share expertise and to provide for maybe an assessment on the question of energy security and using nuclear. So let's see what can happen in the coming weeks or months or years, because having a program on nuclear civil energy, it takes years. It's not a question for tomorrow, but at some point you have to start. So I was happy to hear that the Philippines seems ready to start. And by the way, you have been ready in the past, because as we all know, you are the only country in Southeast Asia having had at some point a nuclear power plant. So let's see if that will resume soon, but anyway, we are ready to partner on this question as we have the expertise. And I was mentioning 70 years of experience, 70% of our energy mix, and 0 incident, which is of course important, because with nuclear we have to ensure no tolerance for any accident, any incident. So we can see that we have a good path, good dynamics in terms of economic cooperation and also development assistance.